it's about contaminated sediments. And contaminated sediments pose a very significant and very expensive problem for the Department of Defense, which is the reason why SERDIP is funding work in this area, but also for the private sector. There are literally billions and billions of dollars worth of liability for sediment cleanup, both in the private sector as well as within the Department of Defense. They're very challenging projects technically from an engineering point of view, but also scientifically to understand what risks are being generated through the presence of these contaminated sediments, the extent, the scope of those risks, how to quantify those risks and understand the uncertainties associated with them. And this project basically concerns that aspect of contaminated sediments work, how to evaluate the exposures, how fish and other animals living in water in association with sediments come in contact with those sediments, with the contaminants within them, and how they're affected toxicologically by that exposure. And through that process, then, an understanding of these risks, we're able to design remedies that are effective in reducing those risks to acceptable levels, and to design those remedies in a way that they're efficient, both from a standpoint of how they're implemented as well as the cost, because these projects can be very expensive. This specific project, which is funded by SERDIP, actually came about as a result of a meeting, a conference that I attended several years ago in California, a workshop where I met for the first time a researcher from Denmark. And he and I began to have conversations during the course of the days of that meeting, and those conversations resulted in some ideas being developed, which later we produced in the form of a proposal to the SERDIP program. That proposal was then funded, and that project has been underway for several years now, a total value of about $2 million. But it all resulted from a meeting, and a meeting of two people at a conference, and pursuing the ideas that resulted from that encounter, which kind of makes an important point about the value of being involved at a global level in the work that we do. If we want to innovate and advance practice, we have to engage with the world and with those who are doing work in areas that are relevant to what we're doing. We produced really a huge amount of data in the course of these series of experiments, which required a lot of time and investment, and a lot of people here and our collaborators at the Technical University in Denmark, and at Northeastern University, and the University of Maryland at Baltimore County, and in the Environmental Protection Agency. These are all the partner organizations that are contributing. So we produced a wealth of data and information that we are mining in the form of analysis and producing technical papers, journal articles, for example, to share with our colleagues and to advance technical practice in this area. But we're also in the process of making advancements in the types of tools that we're using to evaluate exposures, how contaminants move within sediment and water, which is a very complex process, and also models that we then apply to be able to capture this information so that we can use models and tools to be able to design effective remedies for these problems, and to design effective remedies in a cost-efficient way.